This is Outnumbered. I'm Sandra Smith, here today. Harris Faulkner, Andrea Tantaros, Ainsley Earhart, and today's hashtag one.
Thank you.
So your son actually gets to say, my dad is Superman.
Yes, he does. And I think he says it often, which is, makes me happy. But he never really watched the shows.
You think you'll ever show him?
DVDs. He's like, what is that? I'm like, it's DVD. He goes, no, put it on demand.
Right.
And I can't. So it was on the hub. He watched. I said, I tried to tell you. And then he goes,
congrats on the new movie, by the way.
But then he says I look very different, so I don't want to hear that part.
You look better. That's
yes.
what I mean.
Yeah.
But thank you about the new movie. I'm excited.
Well, we need a superhero on the couch today because we need some help with this one. A stunning new development in the scale.
The president lost the ability with this new war authorization in Congress. And so just a short time ago, Speaker John Boehner said the president needs to come up with it again because the president wants to be able to go forward perhaps with more on this, but
when he didn't leave a stabilizing force. And everybody says that, and everybody knows that. Here comfortably and talk about it being slaughtered in the streets, and it's happening, and it's horrible. We don't see it. We're insulated from, here we are at home, people are at home watching. They're not seeing that stuff every day. They're not having to run away. I mean, the way the Iraqi armed forces took off out of there, it's horrible. And then I think of friends of mine who have served over there, guys like Chris Kyle, who was named, died out there. It's just horrible. So the whole situation, it stinks to high heaven. Colonel North.
That human toll, Ainsley, because we saw the numbers. General Dempsey then got back on the record for the no, this really is a huge setback.
Trainers, more advisors.
I mentioned that
the president's case was, I'm not going to put boots on the ground, I'm going to use the air, and I'm going to organize. If that's your strategy, and I support you, Mr. President, you got to retool the strategy if it's not working.
But
we already have boots on the ground.
The U.S. trained.
They have our tanks, they have our artillery.
From what I understand, we were part and parcel to rescuing some of those people who had to just leave their weapons and go. So we probably have
they didn't
a
have
pretty
to just
good
leave their weapons and go.
Interesting, real quickly.
They could have taken those weapons with them and took off. They didn't want to get caught with them. They turned tail.
Make a decision. Half-hearted acts of war are going.
U.S. military equipment that was left behind. This is what Senator McCain said.
Come back, because Dean brought up a good point. I mean, it's one thing to train these guys. Now you got to go out and find them. You've got to send your fighting forces out there to scoop up what's left. Former U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Layton was on with me yesterday, and I asked him, if the strategy isn't working, what is the resistance to changing the strategy? I mean, if it's not working, why wouldn't you tweak it? We can't solely depend on air and special forces. There are only so many people in the special forces. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're dead right. You're dead right. It's tough. Again, we're fighting with one hand tied behind our backs, or maybe both hands, and trying to just kick. It's frustrating as can be.
All right, so we have some breaking news whenever it happens.
Way to go, Ed.
So this really, Andrea, puts the State Department on the defensive because, as I mean, 550,000 pieces of, because we know at least 296 of those emails had to do with Benghazi-related items.
That's right, and as Ed mentioned now, and the turmoil and the unrest.
Those emails don't come out until January. I mean, my God.
Exactly.
It's not going to matter anyway.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think so?
She already picked out the emails that she wanted to hand over. Then the State Department's going to pick.
Buried with Jimmy Hoffa.
Right, exactly.
That's exactly it.
Exactly.
It's right there.
Or according to the Clintons, by Bill Clinton. So it's a personal server. It was the only one-word answer I think I've ever heard a politician give on such a broad question. No.
No conflict of interest. No.
No.
Well, we'll see about that.
Your last thought.
She's supposed to have turned those records over right when she signed out as Secretary of State. So the whole thing is ridiculous from the word go. I mean, the whole thing is.
That brings it back to legal. Right?
I didn't get the overwhelming sense that she was really putting herself out there to reporters just then, did you?
Sandra.
Live parodies are looking more and more.
For a conversational tour.
Yeah.
Not listening.
No, she'll be listening.
We'll deal with it. You played football at Princeton. You played for Buffalo.
A lot more games. It's a lot less physical. Those guys have longer careers. I made about $45,000 base salary. Example of somebody who makes a lot more money outside of the game with his contracts. And he's going to renegotiate his contract, and he's not going to have.
A lot of it has to do with the unions, by the way, too. The NBA.
My husband played professionally. With football, they're not guaranteed contracts.
Ever.
Okay. We got to wrap it up, but we're going to continue on the web, foxnews.com/outnumbered overtime on the web, and then click on that tab. Happening now right after the break. And oh, by the way, you have a new movie out. It's called Vendetta. Did you title that after your times on Outnumbered?
No, I have no vendetta against you ladies at all.
Not yet.
See you on the web.